The Tomb of the Unknown Pets. The bronze plaque reads, "For the millions of lost and abandoned pets, a final resting place."
If conservationists get their way, the endangered gray wolf soon will find a new home at Yellowstone National Park. The wolf disappeared from the park during the 20s, and while some would like to see it return, others want it kept out. CNN's Craig Heaps has the story.
The cry of the wolf, a former National Parks director calls it the music of the West. But in Yellowstone National Park, this song has been silent for more than 60 years. Spurred on by a government bounty, hunters killed hundreds of wolves in Yellowstone and elsewhere in the 1920s, virtually wiping them out in the lower 48 states. Gray wolves still live in Alaska and parts of Canada and are now protected under the Federal Endangered Species Act. Now, conservationists want to reestablish northern Rocky Mountain gray wolves in Yellowstone and two other areas lying within Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming. Senator Jim McClure of Idaho has introduced a bill that would place breeding pairs of gray wolves into those areas.
That there is a case that is a very legitimate case for the kind of ecological balance that can be brought about by the reintroduction of wolves and their activities to control overpopulation on ranges here in Yellowstone National Park.
Advocates argue that the wolves would thin out overpopulations of elk and bison, an argument bolstered by the 1989 government-sanctioned killing of hundreds of bison from Yellowstone. Opponents argue the wolves wouldn't just thin the herds, they would destroy hunting and the businesses that depend on hunters.
It would be very harmful in those industries that cater to packing and guiding and general services in the area, to the sportsmen of the states of Montana and Idaho and Wyoming and Utah for that matter.
Ranchers are concerned that wolves will prey on their sheep and cattle.
Wolves in these areas here have lost their ecological niche. They're going to be using livestock as their major prey baits, and no matter what the wildlife situation is.
Former National Parks Director William Penn Mott disagrees.
There are sufficient elk and bison in the park, and the wolves prefer to feed on them, that they will stay within the Yellowstone National Park.
Senator McClure's bill would not only reintroduce the wolves to Yellowstone, it would also allow ranchers to kill any wolf that wanders out of protected areas and attacks livestock. It would also compensate ranchers who lose sheep or cattle. McClure hopes it's a compromise the conservationists, the ranchers, and the wolves can live with. Craig Heaps reporting for CNN.
It can sometimes be hard for students on Indian reservations in the United States to get a good education, but now some of those students are setting their sights higher, and they're getting help. CNN's Robert Vito reports on a special school that helps bridge the gap between the reservation and the college campus.
This is a high school with a mission, the nation's first college preparatory program for Native Americans.
Okay.
The 400 students here share a dream that they can avoid the poverty and despair that often come with living on a reservation.
I think by this program putting on here gives a big giant step towards having a better education for the Indian people.
Youngsters from 77 different tribes scattered throughout the Southwest attend this off-reservation boarding school operated by the Federal Bureau of Indian Affairs.
If you flip it under, it has all the code numbers for career goals.
With the help of Southern California colleges and universities, Sherman Indian High School developed a college-oriented curriculum, and it retrained teachers who for years have taught primarily remedial and basic education classes to Indian students.
With their support, we've been able to find out what it is that's required of our students.
Students say problems on the reservation like drugs and alcohol are rampant, and apathy about education is widespread there.
There's something out there for them that they can make of themselves. And they don't need alcohol and drugs, to be big. They need an education.
According to a report by the Center for American Indian Studies at Montana State University, most Indian students receive substandard education. Only 55% of Indians have graduated from high school, and only 5% of those go on to complete college. The report concludes that American Indians are the least educated ethnic group in the United States. Here at Sherman Indian High, the goal is to start turning that around.
Those reports were taken in overnight from American television. Now the time's 16 minutes to 6, and here are the main news this morning. Scotland Yard can't confirm that 5 men being held under the Prevention of Terrorism Act were part of a gang believed